All right, welcome back to my channel. So I really want to make sure this video goes out. It's something I've been pondering about, and I think this is the right moment to release this video. So this will be a video on Saturn Aries and my musings about it and what it means, especially as we approach a retrograde, the upcoming retrograde. And we can usually feel, especially larger planets, very powerful planets that are more distant to us, that have a stronger hold on us. We can feel their upcoming transits, kind of the lead up to it, right? So we have a lot of huge shifts this week, specifically with Uranus moving into Gemini on Monday, and then Saturn going retrograde, and the full moon in Capricorn ruled by that Saturn near the end of the week. I think this is a very potent, powerful time for revising, for reconfiguring, for really paying attention to everything that Saturn and Capricorn rules, which is boundaries, especially while Uranus enters Gemini and gives us new ideas in our own mind or thoughts. And Uranus rules divine, or the divinity, and handing down knowledge from the gods to us. So this is a great time of potent kind of realizations. So you could be noticing for yourself you're receiving a lot of new divine eureka moments, informational downloads, or unexpected information. Another element of this is Mars in Virgo, which is conjoining or conjuncting the South Node at this time. The South Node rules the truth, his spiritual truth, past lives, and seeing beyond illusions and kind of lies of all sorts. So that Capricorn full moon that's approaching us with Saturn going retrograde in Aries is a really potent, powerful time for us to understand the truth of boundaries and our own personal power, which Aries rules. And conjoining with Mars and Virgo, this is us using our mind, which is ruled by Mercury, which is Uranus is in Mercury. Uranus is in Gemini. So again, we're just receiving a supercharged kind of intellectual ability to, Saturn can rule authority and attaining mastery and understanding about everything that Mars and Aries rules, which is our own personal sovereignty, our will, and our personal power. And in ancient astrology, it's ourselves and our individuality. And since this is a full moon, this will be a very powerful dynamic time. Usually before full moons, we know that there's a lot of kind of building of tension and a kind of culmination energy and a kind of revelation energy and understanding. And the fact that Mars is so tightly joining and trining this full moon, which will make it an easy way to access our kind of energy, our self-will, our power, and maybe even anger. Mars rules anger and the ability to fight and stand up for our rights. Saturn, of course, covers boundaries, structure, and discipline, and whether we are the slaves or whether we are the masters and the authorities of our own lives. If we don't take that control, we tend to become under the control of others. Capricorn can also symbolize the loner archetype and kind of how we need to separate ourselves with those boundaries that Saturn creates between our own self-identity and self-will and others. This could be a really potent time of understanding where we're giving our willpower, our energy, our sovereignty away, into which authorities, and are we the authority in our own life? And can we responsibly take hold and lead ourselves? Mars is fire, right? It's everything to do with fire. So this is a really important time to get that enlightenment, those sparks of understanding and clarity. So this is a powerful, potent time of assuming responsibility for our inner flame. Saturn also rules karma, so this is a powerfully potent time when we could be completing karmic cycles with a full moon in Capricorn and exiting these repetitive loops. Saturn is also associated with regality and authority. Of course, he's the one who overthrew the gods and took his position back by building his own throne. It's not enough to burn. You must master the flame, discipline it, aim it, and let it light the way. You were not made to be silent. You were not made to submit, and you were born to lead. That's why we reincarnate. That's why we have our own selves. Saturn, again, usually is known as the restrictor. It negates something, but it makes us more powerful as a result of it. And it gives us back the energy of the zodiac sign it's in, mastered and matured. Aries is associated with the first zodiac sign, so it's a primal rage. It's a crying infant baby. It doesn't care about who's listening. It's unconditioned fire and unconditioned temper and anger, and yet also strength. This could be a great time when we need to come face to face with what actually is making us angry and how can we tap into that to fuel our path forward, our new beginnings. Mars is also associated with athleticism and warrior spirit, so there is an energy of movement, of change, and the anger to actually be motivated to do something. A lot of people notice or talk about when Saturn enters Aries or Neptune in Aries, this could mean us being more closely related or understanding fire-based religions, right? Worshipping the flames or Zoroastrianism or other deities associated with fire, for example, Sekhmet, or the kind of initial power of the sun and the clarity of the sun. Saturn will usually block us or punish us or have these external influences that can suppress our Aries energy until we mature through it, and through that fire and flame are purified by it and strengthened and clean. We're clear. We understand. This is also a powerful time when we won't be as afraid of confronting things or the fear of action. Just do it is a great sentence here. To burn through those personal and collective illusions, to break out of karmic cycles. Just like the story of Sekhmet, which is the Eye of Ra, she embodies, her symbol has a sun behind her head, right? So she's channeling that power and getting rid of anything that's not healthy or good. And it's definitely related to a primal force, right? This is unconditioned wildness. This is the animal instinct. This is the root chakra. This is the beginning of everything that is. This is the number one energy, the base. This could also be a powerful time of banishing things, right? Another kind of association with Sekhmet, right? And Saturn specifically, as well as Aries combined. We have this kind of ability to negate things that are not good anymore. This is that true spark. It's a cardinal sign, Aries, right? The beginning of something. It's a spark that rages into the long-term fire, flame. Some affirmations I've gathered for this energy is I am becoming the authority I once searched for. My discipline strengthens my desire. So kind of combining our desire, Aries, with our discipline, structuring that flame into reality and giving it a channel. I do not run from structure. I build it around my flame. My anger is holy. It teaches me where my boundaries are. My rage is not weakness. It is my guide to truth. A lot of people who suppress the rage have issues with this, right? You're always being walked over. You're always being controlled because you're not tapping in to your own primal life force. I allow sacred rage to burn away what no longer serves. I am here not to be small. I am here to be sovereign. My power protects, my fire illuminates, and I am a sacred flame in human form. And that's what Aries rules, actually. If you look into the nakshatras that are associated with Aries in the Hindu and Indian astrology, you can see that it's all about that initial spark of being born into reality, right? Of taking a physical form. This could also be a great time to be led by that instinct, understanding presence and awareness, and letting it be the authority, teacher, and master in our lives, that primal power, and allowing ourselves to be guided by it. Another kind of way that Sekhmet as a deity can tie into Saturn and Aries is also the fact that she protects pharaohs or those in authority with a rage, with a primality. Saturn allows her to have the concentrated power of the sun through her father, which Saturn is also an archetype of the father, Ra, the Eye of Ra, the Eye of God. Some examples of some people with Saturn and Aries that we can see played out throughout their lives is George Washington, who was the first president of the United States after we broke away, or the United States broke away from Britain. And so that was a time when they needed to establish new boundaries and structure a new country into place. And George Washington, with a Saturn and Aries, if you know anything about his life, he had challenges in earlier life. He wasn't able to be the leader. I don't think he was very successful in his military career, but he was able to kind of eventually master this energy and become the first president, right? The El Primo, the number one, Aries, the Saturn, the regal force, the authority figure, the monarch in a way. And I'm sure he also had to deal with disciplining himself with courage. I'm pretty sure I've heard George Washington didn't have a lot of courage in earlier life, which was facilitated later in life, and self-reliance. Another great example is Joe Rogan, right? And he was obviously in martial arts, and he's become an industry leader in his field of podcasting, right? He's not afraid to change or improve himself. He's shown us the power of mastery, discipline, and a fiery self-leadership. And another example is Pamela Anderson. As we can see, if you know anything about her life, in earlier life, she had very much difficulties. People were bullying her, attacking her, using her for her sex, for her body, or whatever. It was all about her body, right? And she was able to, now in a later life, she's able to become an authority for women and kind of step into the power of leadership and show people what it's like to actually regain mastery over your own life. And she's been through many different we all know about her tumultuous relationships and how she's been able to kind of come out on top of that more successful. So these are all people who kind of personified or embodied a sense of leadership, but initially kind of had their power stripped away from them, or people were using them for their energy or willpower energy, right? They needed to reclaim that power and then allow themselves to pioneer these new changes. Saturn again rules time, so this is about mastering the ability to mature. So I just wanted to make sure that I kind of created this video and released it because, sometimes I just write a bunch of notes and I'm not sure if I'm going to release it or not, and you never know what the right timing is. But I felt like I needed to get this out, especially as we approach this Capricorn full moon, Saturn about to go retrograde, and Uranus and Gemini stepping in on Monday. So there's a lot of quick, fast changes and powerful changes. So I hope you liked it. Please hit like, subscribe. You can use the Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to donate or leave a tip, but I appreciate your support. Thanks. Take care.